Blurting out that I was suicidal. Warning, some audiences may find this content disturbing. View at your own discretion. Welcome to the House of Reddit. Today, we share some recent r/TodayIFuckedUp stories posted on Reddit. Blurting out that I was suicidal. All my life I've been someone who talks to themselves. I don't hear voices or anything, but I think out loud. My family and I started this year homeless because of really bad decisions my mom made. I graduated college in May 2019, and haven't been able to land a job. I've sent out more applications than I can count. Of the 4 interviews I did land, 1 company had a computer test I wasn't able to pass, 1 company was just shady all around, and 2 were just flat out scams. On top of all of this, I was dealing with daily emotional abuse from my mother. Examples: starving me, shitting on me for not having a job, telling me I have no right to buy wine that I bought with my own money when I don't have a job, making homophobic comments to my face when she knows I'm bi, screaming and cursing at me because she thought I gave her a dirty look. I'm humiliated by the way I've been treated, especially in front of my younger brothers. I graduated college with only 1 friend, which my mother mentioned to me and to my younger brothers behind my back, because during my last semester, my friend/roommate group kinda froze me out and basically replaced me with a girl they knew treated me badly. The 1 friend I have was and still is part of this group. And she's now had 3 jobs since college and is applying to law school now. Oh, and I'm over $100K in debt with zero idea of what I want to do with my life as far as a career. And the COVID grace period for student loans is gonna end soon. I was pre-med during undergrad, but I lost passion for medicine. Thankfully I have a communications degree, but I'm unsure if I want to pursue that either. Because of all this, I've been battling suicidal thoughts for several months now. I don't have a plan to do it, but it's been getting harder for me to hold on, and I in pain all the time. I've been trying to figure a way to do therapy, but I can't think of a way that wouldn't involve opening up to my mother. So remember how I said that I tend to talk to myself? Well, today I was in my room and I blurted out, "I wish I were dead." The walls in my apartment are paper thin. My mom called me out of my room. She says she heard me. I lied and said I was just reading something aloud. She asks me if I would tell her if I was having suicidal thoughts. I brushed her off saying I'm fine. She persisted. I lied and said I would. I didn't open up because last time I opened up about being depressed she blamed me for it. She seemed to accept my answer at the time, but I kinda regret having blurted that out, and part of me is worried there will be a follow-up conversation. I killed something on my second day at Petco. Without further ado, I started my job at Petco 4-ish months ago, my first job in fact. I'm 18. Summary of day 1 isn't anything to really gloss over, excluding an instance where my boss offered me to come in 8 to 12, paid, to learn up on the deep cleaning process with the primary animal care manager. I was yanked between hesitance and eagerness, feeling willing yet at my limit with tremors. I have schizophrenia. Needless to say I'm often shaky with new things, but being the yes man that I am, I accepted the invite. To provide clarity to those who may not know what deep cleaning is, it's essentially an every Monday routine where care-trained staff member remove every animal one by one out of their enclosures, clean said enclosures as well as their necessities/props, and reset the habitat to meet the higher-ups' condition demands. Moving on to the fateful day, I already fucked up and stepped on a packaged stack of aquarium glass, $39.99, mind you, in front of the hot girl that was trying to show me how to work a cash register. Pretty cool start. After trying my best to digest all of that junk, I followed my trainer, the aforementioned animal care manager, around to get the gist of the procedures. We get to the reptile section, and she brushes it off as the easy part as a hint of relief. She tells me I can get started on one of the more laid-back deep cleans. For starters, hermit crabs. Put extensively, I picked out exactly 26 hermit crabs, put them in a, rather small, plastic bin, and removed all of their necessities. Manager then tells me she forgot to grab their food, and that I can just vacuum the enclosure's substrate while she heads to the wellness room to fetch it. There was virtually nothing I could have fucked up by vacuuming dirt in a tank, nothing simple. Without hesitation I switched on the vacuum cleaner and started to hoover the substrate. Well, the process went along smoothly up until I suddenly heard a fairly loud zoop utter from the nozzle, followed by an awful crunching sound as well as the entire frontmost portion of the vacuum cleaner to quiver in distress. I knew exactly what the fuck I just did. One of the little bastards was buried in the substrate. Despite the shock, I just turned the vacuum cleaner back on, finished voiding out the enclosure and sprayed it down with Oxyver, thinking, well shit, there's 26 of them. Nobody's gonna notice. Manager gets back, tells me I did a great job, and that all that was left to do before resetting the habitat was to do a head count. Fast forward to today and I'm somehow the store's secondary care manager. Ain't that some shit? I hit my girlfriend in the face in front of my friends. It was my birthday yesterday, so this evening I held a virtual quiz night for all my friends. I put a bit of effort into making an interesting and tailored quiz for my group of friends. My girlfriend came over to spend my birthday weekend with me, which she is allowed to do as I am her support bubble. I was obviously the quizmaster, but my girlfriend was also taking part in the quiz, so she was on her laptop on my bed while I sat at my desk and ran the quiz. During a break in the quiz she wanted to say something to the virtual crowd and felt like standing next to me and appearing on the same window as me to say it. I can't remember what she said, but it was something nice about spending time with people you care about. I attempted to put my arm around her, but from my awkward position of sitting down and being shorter than her, I misjudged the movement of my arm and gave her a massive whack in the face with my forearm. She immediately fell down on the bed clutching her nose, thinking I had broken it. My first concern was for her, but then a moment later I realized all of my friends had also just seen me accidentally assault my GF, and the embarrassment feeling doubled in strength. I made sure she was okay, reassured her that if she genuinely thought it was broken or it kept hurting after a few hours we would get it checked, and made sure she was okay to continue in the quiz. She was fine, and finished second in the quiz, but the night will likely be remembered for how I inadvertently battered my girlfriend and promoted my friends to make jokes about domestic violence. Laughing non-stop at an interview. Times are hard and I lost hope on finding a job in my long-term career, HR, and I started applying to some customer service jobs that require foreign languages. I happen to be half Italian and speak the language natively, so I applied for one of those positions. They made me take a lot of online tests and they finally made a phone interview, and I could tell from that phone interview that this company is a mess and working in it would be a nightmare for a couple of reasons, one of which is the very, very low pay wage. Anyways. After that interview there was another video interview. And this is the one I screwed up. At first it went really well. He asked me about my previous experiences, my strengths and weaknesses, typical interview bullshit. And then he told me we're doing a role play, and since he specializes in airline support, not what I'll be supporting, he was to give me a typical airline call situation. He said that there's a policy in the airlines he's working with that only dogs for guidance and assistance are allowed on the plane and that I should be creative about my answers. I thought, oh boy, this is gonna be good. He said that he's a customer who booked a flight from Vegas to LA and wants to carry his kitten with him on the plane. Politely and calmly I informed him of the above-mentioned policy. This is when I started cracking up. He said that it's quite urgent that he carries his cat on the plane and whether or not there's anything I can do to make it happen. The first thought that came to my mind was to smuggle him under his jacket, and the more I tried to unthink it, the harder I laughed. Imagine actually suggesting that as a solution to a real customer. I asked him if there's any policy regarding other animals, in this case cats. He said no. No animal is allowed on the plane and I had to be creative about the solutions. That's it. I lost it. I apologized, regained my composure, and then I asked him if leaving his cat with a friend a possibility. He said no. Okay, what about hiring someone to take care of the cat? He also said no. Alright. Then what about looking up an organization that shelters animals or something like that? He also said no. And then the thought of smuggling his cat came up again and I cracked again. This is when he said, okay, thank you, I'll try to find an organization. He got a bit mad and asked me if I had any questions regarding the position. It was hilarious for me because from what I know, my service ends with what the company can do, not him as a person. As an airline, we can't help him take his cat on the plane. It's a very straightforward and direct rule, so being creative about it was just hilarious. Obviously I didn't get the job, but it doesn't really matter. I'm grateful for the laughs. The first thought that popped in my head was to smuggle. Meeting my Hinge date after serious red flags. So this happened a few months ago, and after I saw the other lady's post about her Hinge horror story, I knew I should write mine. I am 26M and she was 27F. We started texting for about 2 to 3 weeks, and in this time, I had some intuition that she was crazy. Picking fights on little things, sending 8 texts after I don't respond within 5 minutes, etc. Anyways, I say YOLO and decide to hang out with her at her house. So I get there, and my first impression was that she was beautiful and all is good. We planned on making pizza and having some beer. Well, I get inside and the house is a mess. Like shit laying everywhere, but I wasn't there to judge. But this is where the fuck up starts. She tells me to take the pizza out of the oven because she's never taken one out before. I go, okay, and take it out. I cut it and we sit down to eat it on her balcony. Turns out her balcony had a nest and baby birds in it. Her dog starts to lick the hatchling and the egg of another. She tells me to grab the nest and throw it off the balcony. I refuse, and then she tells me that she's done it 5 other times and it's no big deal. Red flag. I thought she was a Stephen Avery for a second. We then come inside to watch some Netflix, and within 5 minutes she's already moved to my lap and making out with me. Tells me to go into her room with her for sexy time. Rips off my jeans and proceeds to put it in after I asked her if I could get a condom before we started. She refused. I'm thinking red flag, run. She wants me to get her pregnant, or what if she has an STD? I couldn't just run for my car without pants on, so I hung in there or in her. We're midway through when she gets off me and has a mental breakdown saying that I am just using her, and I comfort her saying we should stop. She proceeds to get back on and finish me on her stomach. So I go to the bathroom to clean up my wet noodle, and here I see red stuff in a puddle on the back of her toilet behind the seat. A little freaked out, so I put my pants on and tell her I have to get up early for work. I finagle my shoes on while small talking. She tells me she loves me and asks me to be her boyfriend, to which I tell her to slow her roll and that we will talk. Skedaddled my way out the door to my car, where she then chases some geese. I get down the road not even 2 minutes and I have 8 missed calls, shit you not. Get home and go to bed and wake up with 5 texts and another 11 missed calls. One text called me a coward for not answering, then the next one saying that if I respond and work things out, I'm not a coward, and then finally another one saying we're done and I'm a coward. I ended up blocking her so fast and kept text for proof if she tried to pull a fast one on me with the police. And that is how I fucked up with meeting a girl on Hinge. Falsely convincing my grandma she had won £5 million. It all started with a prank my grandma played on me in a restaurant in September 2013. I was 13 and my grandma thought it would be funny to tell me we had accidentally left without paying our bill. Unbeknownst to me, she had asked the waitress to pretend to confront me in front of the whole restaurant and accuse me of stealing. I was absolutely mortified when I found out it was a prank and they had actually paid the bill. I found the funny side, but still kinda wanted to get my grandma back for the incident. I decided that I would get lottery tickets for my whole family to have on Christmas Eve, and I bought my grandma a fake lottery scratch card that had the winning numbers to win over £5 million. My thinking behind this was not malicious at all. I thought she would be like, wow, I won £5 million, wow. And then I'd tell her and be like, ha ha ha, I pranked you, and she'd be like, oh, you got me good. Did that happen? No. She scratched the scratch card and unenthusiastically said, oh well, maybe next time. I, wide-eyed and concerned I had just wasted £5 on a fake scratch card that didn't even win, promptly asked her to check again. Lo and behold, she thought she had won £5 million. She was absolutely ecstatic. But then something unexpected happened. She started planning in depth what she was going to do with this money right there and then. How she can retire in January, she was only 57, and how she can now invest in property and take us all on holiday. She literally pulled up websites to book holidays there and then. I sat there, feeling sick, wondering how I can now burst her quickly expanding bubble. I decided to interject just as she started talking about the new Bentley she was going to buy next week. Grandma? Yes. She smiles enthusiastically over to me, clutching her winning ticket. Grandma, you haven't won £5 million, I nervously say. The room falls silent. Brenda Lee's Rocking Around the Christmas Tree plays quietly in the background as the chatter comes to an abrupt stop. What do you mean? I'm a millionaire. My grandma proudly announces, displaying her ticket. No, I bought that off eBay. That's a fake ticket, I say, now completely embarrassed. I didn't think this plan through. Are you joking? My grandma asks, hoping to grasp onto a little bit of the fading optimism. I'm so sorry, I was pranking you back for the restaurant a few months ago. Everyone remains silent. Contrasting Christmas music continues. Nobody is amused. Grandma and Grandpa fake smile nervously throughout the rest of Christmas Eve, and we leave much earlier than usual. She eventually came around and forgave me, but it was so awkward all of Christmas Day through New Year. There's so much more to this story, but thought I wouldn't talk your ears off, haha. If you enjoy this video, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please let us know in the comments below. Turn on the notifications to know when we post new videos. Thank you for coming to the House of Reddit.